If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Why make choices in your life based on judgments instead of on your awareness of what would create the life and living you desire? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here with us tonight. We're going to be getting naked with creations. Woohoo! I have a special guest, Stephanie Richardson, in the house. And the two of us are beginning to get naked. So wherever you are, whenever you are listening, we encourage you to play along, and why not get naked? So last week I had my co-host, my monthly co-host, Joanne Del Corre, who joins me, and we talked about what to do when nothing else works. And that was an interesting show, as it always is with Joanne and I, because we don't always get along, which we absolutely love. We have so much fun having this jumping back and forth with each other. So next week, I don't know what's going to come on, but today we're going to have so much fun with Stephanie. And before we get into the show, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a possibilities coach, and I work with individuals and organizations to create the living and loving they desire with all the possibilities available in the universe. Now, I'm an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, a course facilitator, energy healer, radio show host, and producer, and I even do websites. I do a lot of things. I love being different. The programs that I put together for individuals and organizations help to bring more possibilities to actualization. Connect with me to learn more. Now, I do charge for my services, but the first 5 minutes are always free. So ask yourself, are you ready now to unveil more of what you desire in your life? So you can connect with me at inspiredchoices.ca, or you can email me, Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. So tonight, do you decide to create and find yourself stuck in the how? Do your creations feel forced or the same old, same old? What could you create if you were willing to get naked? Not always physically. So tonight, Stephanie is a magical creator. We are going to get naked about all things creation and see what we can discover with each of you who are joining us. And please come on over to A2Zen.fm and join us in the chat room where there's an entirely different conversation that goes on, and there's a lot of play, and it really makes such a big contribution to our shows, and we absolutely love it. So I want to tell you a little bit about Stephanie. Stephanie Richardson uses the eye of an artist and the vision of a seeker to inspire and empower people to have a new vision of the world and themselves. Through private sessions, classes, and art, world-traveling facilitator, author, artist, Stephanie Richardson empowers people to know that they know and empowers them to choose what they have longed to be able to choose. I have all sorts of social media links I'm going to share with everybody as we go along throughout the show where you can get a hold of this amazing being. But I just want to say, Stephanie, welcome to my show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It was a show in the creation since Houston.
Yes, it's been a while. And so much has happened since then. It's like we decided to do the show on Getting Naked with Creation, and then I went out and I did it a whole bunch, and it has changed my own life. So
I hear you. Me too. So Stephanie and I actually sat down in Houston in April, I believe it was. Yes, it was April, and we had a wonderful evening laughing and playing with each other. And Stephanie is one potent woman, let me tell you. If you ask her a question, get ready. Just get ready. But we didn't know initially what we wanted to talk about. We knew we wanted to talk about something. And Stephanie, you're such an amazing creator in the world, and you know what you shared with me that night about what you create, it really blew me away. And I just love how you create so many different spaces and places in the world, and how your creations are so different and yet connect.
Yeah.
And, there's so many of us. I did a show a few months ago about business for humanoids. And right, and how we judge ourselves like, I can't, why can't I focus on one thing, or why can't I, get really successful? Maybe it's because I do need to do just one thing, but we're attracted to so many beautiful shiny balls. And since I've actually been playing with everything that pops for me, my whole world and my creations and my business have just changed exponentially. And what would it take for more of us to play and get naked with our creations? So when I suggested the title to you, what popped for you initially?
That's a great question. A bunch of stuff. One, actually, being naked, of course, that was the first thing that popped in. That was the easy thing. But the very next thing that popped in is when you're actually in the flow of creating, and everybody's had those moments, when you're creating something, whenever you're doing something, even if it's gardening, or even if you kind of get in the flow of, if you're kind of OCD and you get in the flow of doing laundry, there's this flow that happens where you begin to lose time and you begin to lose the definition of I'm moving from point A to I'm moving to point B. And instead of, that first things first, second things second, third thing third, when you move beyond that and all of a sudden you find yourself just in the moment, that's really what came to mind, that being vulnerable with your creations, being vulnerable with the things that you're both creating, and really being in the world that way without barriers, because you can't do that. You can't be that present when you have barriers up and while you're defending yourself, or while you're thinking of the future, or while you're looking at, the number of steps it's going to take for you to get to the target that you're trying to get to. All of those things have a certain amount of invulnerability in them. They have some conclusion to them. And when you get naked, when you actually drop all of that, sit in the present moment and really go, wow, what's true for me right now in this moment? In this moment, what would I really like to choose? If I was truly being me and vulnerable with me, who would I be? What would I choose? And that's the big thing that came to mind. I'm like, naked, that.
I love that. I freaking love that. Now that was different for me, but I can.
I want to know.
I was
for you.
I just want to marinate in what you said, though. Like, it's just losing the time and the definition. And I think it just came up different words for me. But for me, getting naked is really stepping into it and getting my fingers, in the mud. Do you remember when you were little kids and we used to make mud pies?
Oh, yeah.
And, just getting your fingers in there and the mud squishing out. I so would believe that about you. Damn. We'll have to do that in Costa Rica.
It was wax, but yes.
It was wax?
Yes.
What should we ask?
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
After the first break.
Okay, after the first break. Okay, hold on, everybody. So it's that getting your hands in there and getting them dirty and getting it all over you and getting stinky with it, getting messy with it, and really, I love, like you said, getting lost. Getting lost in it and being present with it. I don't know. I just got a different visual. Like today I made this amazing creation. I don't do a lot of baking anymore because the kids aren't here. So, if I bake it, I eat it. But I was making, have you ever heard of Mississippi pie or Mississippi mud?
No. What is it?
It's a crumble bottom, brown sugar, flour, butter, and then Philadelphia cream cheese and icing sugar, and then chocolate pudding with Cool Whip mixed in.
I'm having dreams about it already.
I'm having it after the show. As I was making it today, it was so funny because it was just like, the beaters were flying all the ingredients, and I had flour here, and it was like, this is fun. This is fun, creating it and To hell with how the steps, to hell with how it looks, right? And it's just being in it. So I think for me, that's it. It's getting naked with what turns you on, what speaks to you, what catches your energy, what catches your attention, whether it makes sense or not.
I think this is a great place, like using the cooking of a pie or the making of a pie. It doesn't sound like there was a ton of cooking involved in that.
No, there wasn't.
But the making of that. So getting naked with your creation is, or doing it by the numbers. Let's start with doing it by the numbers, because everybody knows what that feels like. So let's go to the energy of doing it by the numbers. Now, first, you put your recipe down, and then you measure everything out exactly. And
don't forget to use a knife to make sure everything's topped off exactly right.
Exactly. And then you think about how many calories are in it and how you're never going to let yourself eat it, but hopefully somebody else will like it, but maybe nobody will like it. Well, I hope it's good. Well, I'm going to have to taste it but what if that's too many? I'm getting fat already. You're in 3 different things at once. You're looking at all the judgments. You're looking at if you can have it or you can't have it. You're looking at if it's going to turn out right or if it's not going to turn out right. You're looking at who's going to enjoy it or who's not going to enjoy it, how you're going to get it to the party, how you're not going to get it to the party. The worry about getting, taking it out of the oven soon enough or not taking it out or taking it out too late. That is what the doing it the normal way looks like. Everybody knows what that looks like, right?
Okay, that's just yucky.
Yeah, totally. So here's the thing. Getting naked with it is actually, yeah, sure, you may have a recipe and you've got a bunch of ingredients. And then the play with it actually goes, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to put this stuff together and play with the joy of it. And so it's like you start putting them together, and instead of all the worry, all the judgment, all the ways you're looking at the future or anything like that, it really is, how does this stuff feel underneath my hands? What are the smells that are going on right now? What happens whenever I do this? And when I cook, I actually, at this point, I follow recipes for some things, but I also ask the batter itself, is there anything I need to add? Do you want me to add more of this? Do you want me to add less of this? Do you want me to, do I cook you for longer? I actually am talking to the things that I'm creating. I'm no longer separate from them. I actually am present with everything that I'm playing with, and they are part of the creation as much as I am. And that's the vulnerability of, that's the vulnerability and the tastiness. And then when it's time to stick your finger in, you know it. And then you put it in your mouth, and then you lick it, and you enjoy every molecule of it to, the nth degree, like a kid does. Oh my God, this is so delicious. Or, ew, that's gross. What else do I need to add to make, what else would make this work? Or do I scrap it? And that's the part. You don't care whether you scrap it. You don't care whether you have to add something. You don't care. None of that actually is even the point. And that's what begins to happen whenever you move into this vulnerability of being in the presence and the joy of the play of it. The outcome sort of stops mattering all that much. It's like, oh, I'll buy some cookies on the way to the party if this doesn't work out. No biggie.
Exactly. Oh, I absolutely love that. That is just, Stephanie, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. That is brilliant. Wow. I'm so glad that you're here tonight.
Woo! And by the way, when we come back, there's a couple of things that I'll tell you about. One of them's a really naughty picture.
Oh, how's it get any better? Okay, show's over. Carol's saying in the chat room, show's over. They're saying they're starting a drinking game. Every time we say the word naked, they're taking a drink. And if we say balls, they're taking 2 drinks.
Now I know the rules.
Now we know the rules. Okay, we are going to go for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play more with Stephanie Richardson. You are listening to Inspired Choices on A2Zen.fm. Get your drink. We're going to be saying naked more. Talk to you soon.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
Being visible, being social, being heard. What desires are you ready to create? Would you like to take the next step to creating a potent presence on the web? Would it create more possibilities and expansion in your life? BeingVisible.ca offers website, social media, radio show creation, and more. Creating with consciousness, bringing the energy of you to your audience. Are you ready to connect with your audience clearly, regularly, and with ease? Christine McIver and Carol Glover work with individuals and organizations to create a powerful presence on the web. Personal attention and one-on-one training creates the ease with expanding you. Are you ready? Connect today at beingvisible.ca. Managing your emotions is often seen as a hard thing to do. But what if that was a contribution in order to fully awaken who you really are? If you're not achieving your dreams in any area of your life, it's because you are not connecting with the emotions behind those dreams. Not because you can't, but because you haven't been taught how to. To learn how to change all of this, contact the emotional intelligence strategist, Joanne Delcore. Joanne can be found at www.joannedelcore.com or email joanne@joannedelcore.com. Working with Joanne, you'll receive tools and information that will bring you to a place of true, sustained emotional health and happiness for you, your kids, and your family.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right. Getting naked with your creations and my guest, Stephanie Richardson. Woohoo! How's it get any better than that? Now, if you would like to connect with Stephanie, you can go to StephanieRichardson.com or thegoodgirlsguidetobeingwrong.com. How does that sound? My God, that's awesome. I love that. And you can also find her on Facebook, The Good Girl's Guide to Being Wrong, and Stephanie Richardson. So she's everywhere. This chick is all over the place, and she's probably naked in some of those locations as well. So how's it getting any better than that? So, darling,
I'm naked on Facebook.
Oh boy,
it's
is that
right
what
now?
It's up. Okay, we're gonna have to go through it, but don't go too far because we want you guys to play with, continue to play with us.
Stay with us.
Stay with us, but come back. So, Stephanie, let's talk about creation and really getting naked with, you know, sometimes when we get stuck and we're trying to figure out what to do and what works. And have you ever been in that frustrated place?
The first 35 years of my life.
Awesome. So last week you got out of it?
2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. So to 2013.
Sorry, somebody on the chat room is making jokes, and I read it out loud.
That's okay. You can do that. Everybody that listens to us knows we're all dyslexic on here. It's all good.
Yeah, speaking when I'm supposed to be listening, and listening when I'm supposed to be speaking.
It's all good, darling. So tell us about the time before you are where you are today.
Yeah. What I'll say is I spent, first of all, anybody who's energetically aware, did you get the change in the shift in energy? If you didn't get it, don't worry about it. The thing is what I thought it took to be successful was I thought it took being in, like, getting the right niche, and anybody who knows about businesses knows exactly, like, you narrow everything you're doing down to this one thing, that's something that nobody else is doing, or you do it in a different way, and you know, you have to get the formula just right, and then if you do that just right, and then if you talk to just the right people, and if you do it in just the right way, everything's supposed to work out. Only that twists you down into such a tiny space of living that everything I did was around trying to figure out what that is. But as you mentioned earlier, I'm now creating so many things. I'm writing, I've got a radio show, I've got an art show up right now, I'm facilitating classes, I'm editing video, I'm just doing a million things. And what happens as for me personally, the more that I've done, the more that I've stopped trying to fit myself into a single box so that I can be labeled and shipped. What's begun to happen is that the governors have come off. So instead of having less time or less creativity, what's happened as I've branched out and begun doing everything is that the creativity never ceases. So one thing actually feeds another thing. And so instead of one thing taking away from something, what happens is I'm doing a project for one set of people, and what happens is I get information for 3 other projects. And when I get information for 3 other projects, I also get information that I can share with people that I know are creating other things, so I can contribute to what they're creating. And then whenever I share those things with them, they give me inspiration in different ways. They either tell me what's happening in their creations, or we talk for a little while about what they're creating, which then creates more energy that I can then share with either other people, use in my creations. And so the difference has been dynamic. And all of that started when I started using the Access tools and basically asking, what else can I add to my life? So for you, what else can I add to my life could actually be quiet. Or it could be adding another person to help you do the things that you can't do. Or it could be adding a project. Or it could be adding a hobby. Or it could be adding chocolate, right? But asking questions instead of coming to the conclusions that people love to tell you how to be successful. They love to tell you exactly the right way to do it so that you'll make it. But weirdly enough, I haven't found that to be true for me. So what I would ask everybody is to begin to look, what's actually true for you? When you begin narrowing your focus, does that add more energy to your life? Does that actually create more creativity for you? Do you feel energized? Do you wake up excited? If you do, then maybe it's working for you. If, on the other hand, you've tried to do that your whole life so that you can get it right, and it's not working for you and your creations tend to die, then what would happen if you begin to add things? And so you're like, oh, I do have a hobby. I don't think I have time for a hobby. Okay, that's fine. Can you do your hobby for 5 minutes today? And then once you begin doing that and playing with it and really going, okay, cool, what can I add? That 5 minutes. Okay, can I do this for 5 minutes? Yes. Great. Now, then just see, does that actually add more energy to your life? Does it add more fun? Do the other things that you're working on begin to change just by giving, another aspect of you a little bit of attention? And so that, I always ask for people to really explore what's true for them, not take my word for it or anybody else's word for it, but that's what's happened for me. I stopped trying to narrow myself down and squeeze it all into one thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. What else can I do? What else can I be? What else can I add? What else can I explore? Which has just brought me to life.
Well, you've got me gobsmacked. There's so many thoughts just jumping in my head. I absolutely love this, the add to your life. That has been something for me that has changed everything, is asking what else could I add? And most recently, probably since I started doing the right body for you body of work, is really asking and stepping in with creating with my body and asking what my body desires, asking how my body could contribute to all of my creations, and what I can contribute to my body, and like you say, going and doing that doing that hobby for 5 minutes or spending some time just, one of the things that my body loves to do is linger in bed in the morning. Just linger. And it's not about being lazy or trying to sleep in. It's just linger, just be with me. You know how when you're with someone that you just want to be present with them, and just that presence that I be with my body changes my entire day. And and I wonder what it would be like for everyone who's listening if they were just to start to ask, what is it that I could add to my life? What is it that I could add to my business, to my relationship with myself that would create even greater?
You said something really brilliant. That whole thing was brilliant. And when you said that one of the things that you've added is the enjoyment of being with you, and I gather doing something you enjoy, being in bed, right? What if what you add doesn't necessarily take, I just hear so many people when you go, what can I add? So many people go to the space of it requires more time.
Right.
But what if you actually take something you are already doing, so being in bed or cooking or driving or maybe even walking in the bank, right? Like these things that you do every day, you don't have to have those be chores. So many times we turn different parts of our lives into obligations or chores. And what happens when you actually change those things into part of the what can I add? So if you're adding more enjoyment of your body, for instance, does that actually require more time, or does it actually require that you choose food that actually would really be enjoyable to put in your mouth, that would just make your mouth water, make you blush a little bit, make your spine tingle? What if the food you added was that? Does that take any more time? No, but does it add an energy to your life that may not be being met if maybe, you're shoving something in your mouth over the sink? I don't know. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's something that makes you blush and it's something you shove in your mouth while you're over the sink. I don't know.
I don't know, Stephanie. I think you're talking about something other than food. I'm just guessing. That is so amazing. So what you're referring to is, and what requires more presence. Faith just said it in the chat room. Exactly. It's about being present with what we are doing, being, creating now. So what I got was we're always, all of us bathe ourselves, but are we present when we're bathing ourselves? Are we present with our bodies? Are we present with our taste buds? Are we present with our touches? Are we present with our voice, our eyes? We're already doing something. How can that change? How can that be a greater contribution? I just absolutely love what you're saying. This is fantastic. And how much change is this going to create for everyone? I want to go back to a statement or a question that Faith asked in the chat room. She said, what popped for her was when Stephanie said labeled and shipped. How many times does this reality attempt to pin a label on us or make us choose one so that we can be filled and put on a shelf and locked into the one small space? It's a lot. Wouldn't you agree, Stephanie?
I'm like, so are you a mom? Are you a sister? Are you a daughter? Are you an artist? Are you a file clerk? Are you defined by any of those things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everywhere we buy into everywhere we buy into any of those labels becomes a place that we get stuck.
Right. and minimized. So everywhere that you've bought into any label that you've ever chosen is the only label you can ever have. Can we please destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion?
Yes, ma'am. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyond.
Hell yes. Can I just say balls? Okay. Wait a minute. Just don't say balls. Oh, wait. I think I'm playing their drinking game.
If you're not on the chat room, let's just say you're missing out.
Just say it. So, Stephanie, tell us about some of these creations that you have been stepping into in the last 2 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So, okay. So one of them, so I've been a photographer for a really long time. And I thought that you had to do it a certain way. And so I came to a place. That was about to be a boring story. I'm going to change direction. So,
okay.
Wait. So check this out. So what I just did right there, where I'm like, oh wait, we're going down a path that's not all that much fun. Guess what? That's actually a tool. When you find that you're going a direction and all of a sudden the energy's just not there for it, would you be willing to actually consider asking another question and actually moving in a direction that will actually create more? And even if you stop mid-sentence, what if that was okay? And what if that's part of this whole thing that we're actually talking about choosing things that actually will create more for you and will actually create a more expanded life? Okay, so just as a side note, those screeching wheels, like what if you're willing to be on a radio show, like with a whole bunch of people and still like head one direction and go, wait, that's not actually what I want to choose here. I'd like to choose something different. And like how much vulnerability does that take to be like, okay, next, let's change direction.
Cool.
So what I've been creating, I joked for a very, very long time that I was a photographer because I couldn't be a painter. Is that actually a question?
Wow.
Like, oh, wait, and just this, I guess, last year, all of a sudden I went, wait, I've been saying this a long time as a joke, but I've really meant it. That I only am a photographer because I know how to follow the energy that way. I know how to see light. I know how to create that. But is it actually true that I can't paint, or have I been using someone else's definition of what that should be, what that should look like, to decide whether I'm good at it or not? Right? So if you think that there's only one way to be a good painter and you don't do that thing, then you may have decided that you're not a good painter. Or that may be true for how you play softball or how you do, any number of things. If the way you do something doesn't fit the way that other people do it, you may have determined that you can't do it. But I started to look at that and using the tools, I decided, I looked at it and said, wow, is that actually true for me? And does it matter more to me that I be quote unquote good at this, or does it matter more to me that I actually create what I'd like to create and have fun doing it? Do I care more about someone else's judgment of what I'm doing being good, or do I care about the joy of creating? And so one of the things that I started creating was paintings. So many so that I put 15 of them up in a theater last week for a show we're going to be doing on the 19th. And I'm being overrun with new ones. It's so fun. And it's pleasurable for me. So that's actually what I was doing with the wax, by the way. I was actually making paintings with wax. And having this really delicious, what seems like a conversation with color, a conversation with heat, a conversation with, this wax that's sort of unpredictable. And that has been really enjoyable for me. I've literally been looking at all the places in my life where I can add this element of, so when you're painting with wax and some of the other things that I paint with a lot with water, I use a lot of water and I use a lot of other things that, and these crackles. So there's a certain level of unpredictability, ways that I cannot control the way that it will turn out. I can make requests I can move I use a lot of boards. So I can move the boards in different directions to get things to flow in certain directions. I can add more heat. I can add less heat. I can add different colors. But ultimately what happens is it's actually a co-creation with all the materials that are present. And does that sound anything like a life? Like,
oh my God,
choices. You can move in directions. You can actually add certain elements, and it'll change something, but you don't always know exactly how it will change things. And so what happens is that as you do these things and as you play with them in ways that may not matter that much to you, so for instance, me adding the painting where I'm like, oh, wow, would I rather have fun or would I rather be a slave to other people's judgment? Oh, I'd rather have fun. Okay, well then cool. I'm going to do this no matter what, and no matter how ugly it gets, I'm just playing. It's like you start practicing using that conversation with everything around you in those ways that don't matter that much to you. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I can use this in my everyday life. I can trust that what I choose actually creates something greater, even if I don't know what it looks like in the present moment. Right now, this thing, almost every single painting I've ever done has gone through a phase where it is so ugly. It's like so ugly that, and I'm sitting there with it and I'm like, wow, this is just kind of heinous. I wonder what I can create with this next. Like, I wonder where it'll go. I wonder what choices I have. And it literally gets to that point. I wonder what choices I have. And that has bled over again into my life. I wonder what choices I have. I wonder what choices I have that I haven't even considered. So far, this has always turned out greater on the other side. And what else is possible? And so that, you asked what else I've been up to, and I don't know how that led here, but this has been this is exactly how the paintings work. Like, exactly. I ask a question and then it goes somewhere, and it may not be exactly what I thought I was heading for, but what comes out of it is pretty dynamic and fun. And so, I've been really grateful. In addition to that, I've added a ton of travel. I've added a lot more facilitation to my life. I've added, and what it's brought to me is some really fun things that I never thought I would get to be around. I got to be around this phenomenal collection of African art that was so inspiring to see and changed my entire worldview about Africa and what I'd been taught as a kid. And, these different things have come into my life just by, again, that whole asking, okay, cool. What else can I add? What if I'm not just a portrait photographer? What if I love shoot? What if somebody asked me to do something else? Would I be willing to do it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? So these places, again, where if there's a label, what if we never buy into those? What if we just look, okay, is this, when someone presents something to you, you just ask, well, cool, is this something I'd like to add? Is this something that would create more if I added it to my life? Or would it just be fun?
And we don't have to be, quote unquote, artists in using these tools. These tools can be used in everything. They can be used in our relationships. They can be used in whatever business, whatever jobs that we have. We can be asking and receiving so much more when we are actually being with the creation, whatever it is that we desire to create in our lives. And that choice, it's that 10-second choice, and we get to choose every single day what it is we would like to create with. And I just love that you don't go into conclusion around your art where you said it always reaches a point where it's ugly.
Yeah.
I love that. You just ask some more questions. And how many of us throw the baby out with the bathwater because, we think, well, that's it. I'm frustrated. I can't get any more. And it's terrible. And we come to a conclusion. What if we were even to put it aside? Just put it aside and see what else wants to come, maybe tomorrow, maybe 6 months from now. Sometimes that's how the creations like to be unfolded as well. I mean, I know I've got so many different things that I'm creating, and sometimes they just want to wait.
Oh, we have so much more to share about that.
I know, but we have to go to break. So, okay, everybody, we are listening to Inspired Choices on A2Zen.fm. We're talking about getting naked with our creations, and my guest, Stephanie Richardson, who's blowing us out of the water here. Oh, my God, stay tuned. We'll be right back, and we'll get back into this.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
Managing your emotions is often seen as a hard thing to do. But what if that was a contribution in order to fully awaken who you really are? If you're not achieving your dreams in any area of your life, it's because you are not connecting with the emotions behind those dreams. Not because you can't, but because you haven't been taught how to. To learn how to change all of this, contact the emotional intelligence strategist, Joanne Del Corre. Joanne can be found at www.joannedelcorre.com or email joanne@joannedelcorre.com. Working with Joanne, you'll receive tools and information that will bring you to a place of true, sustained emotional health and happiness for you, your kids, and your family. Being visible, being social, being heard. What desires are you ready to create? Would you like to take the next step to creating a potent presence on the web? Would it create more possibilities and expansion in your life? BeingVisible.ca offers website, social media, radio show creation, and more. Creating with consciousness, bringing the energy of you to your audience. Are you ready to connect with your audience clearly, regularly, and with ease? Christine McIver and Carol Glover work with individuals and organizations to create a powerful presence on the web. Personal attention and one-on-one training creates the ease with expanding you. Are you ready? Connect today at beingvisible.ca.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is A2Zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay, we are back with the magical creator, Stephanie Richardson. And before we went to break, we were going in a lot of different places and spaces. So, Stephanie, my gosh, what else can we share with listeners about getting naked with their creations beyond anything they've ever created before?
Oh, what can we were going in such a fun direction. I'm like, oh, Christine just pulled the I love it. I love it. Well, what can they? I mean, that's exactly the place that I would go. I would ask, so everybody if you have something that you've desired to create in your life, if you have a business that you've been desiring to create, or if you have a relationship that you would like to create something either different with or nurture it in a different way, or if you have, a long lost hobby, or you're an artist and you haven't picked up your art in 1.5 million years. Look at any one of those that you would like to pick, just one of them for right now, and actually begin to ask, so what is it that I could create? Just the question that, or that you would like, stuff that you would like to begin again, anything you'd like to begin again. And basically get the energy of that. What is it about that you would like to create more of? Or what about that would you like to change? Let's go with the create more of. If you've ever loved doing something, get the energy of that. And then take that energy, and if it's got little strains, I know people used to lead me through meditations and stuff all the time, and they would have this really idyllic image going, and then I would see that idyllic image, but then I would also see all these other weird things happening with it, like strains of blood, like black veins running through it, or these things that I didn't work, or half of it would be, distorted. And I was like, oh, everybody else can apparently do this really nice idyllic image stuff. And here I am, I've got these crappy things that come along with my pretty things. If for this exercise, you don't have to have a perfect image. As a matter of fact, bring all of the energy with it. So if you begin and that thing that you'd love to begin again, or that thing that you've enjoyed doing, or the thing that you'd like to add to your life that you hadn't considered adding, that thing, it's okay if it comes with all sorts of weird ratty stuff with it too. That's okay. As we do this exercise, let's just see if that changes at all. So take that energy, all of it, the stuff that seems pleasurable and enjoyable, and then if that's all you have, awesome. If yours has ratty things or black veins or little roaches crawling on it, that's fine too, no big deal. So what you want to do is you take that and put it in your hands in front of you, and then expand it out. And so you actually take that, if it's a ball, you begin growing that ball, and you expand it until it's the size of the room that you're in. And then it's in the size of the city block that you're in, or the country block that you're in. Mm-hmm. And then you keep expanding it out. So now it's a few kilometers or a few miles out, and then it keeps going, and it just keeps expanding until it's 100 miles out, and it's 300 miles out, and it goes in all directions. So it goes up into the air and down into the ground, and it keeps growing, and it's 1,000 miles. It's several thousand kilometers. It starts to encompass the entire Earth, and then it starts to go out into space in all directions. And it's 1,000 miles out from the Earth. It's 3,000 miles out from the Earth. It's 100,000 miles out from the Earth. 300,000 miles from the Earth. Now, what energy is actually available to you now? Did it sort of infuse everything? Did the little weird stuff begin to dissipate? And did the other stuff begin to grow?
That was awesome.
So you can begin to do that. When there's anything that you'd like to play with or create or add, you can start playing with that. What happens if you get the sense of what is that energy like? Okay. And it start expanding it out. And after you've done that exercise with it, you can just sort of look around and go, and now what would I like to choose? Is there anything that I can, add today that would begin to create this in my life right away? And I love using the word begin. It's so gentle. And for someone like me who thinks that I need to have everything accomplished 2 days before I even thought of it, when I started using, what can I be or do or create today to begin to create this in my life right away, that begin allowed for any change that took place, for any movement towards having more of that in my life, to actually be a generative energy instead of looking at everything through the lens of, oh, but that wasn't enough. There's never not enough. Moving even the tiniest molecule, even moving just one molecule, what if that was actually enough to begin to create what you would truly like to have in your life And what happens is the more you acknowledge each little tiny change that happens when you acknowledge it and you go, oh, you know what? I just enjoyed that moment. That was a moment that I used to take for granted. Man, high five universe, right? And then add more of that. When you recognize each one of those tiny changes, that actually allows for the changes to happen with more ease, allows them to happen more quickly. And it makes, life a whole lot of fun. You begin to see that creation, that sort of like generative creation, all of a sudden starts to happen in more and more areas of your life. I know it sounds like that's too easy to be true, but just play with it and see what happens.
And how many of us are really doing the comparison? Like the last time I did it turned out like this, and this time it's not, and or we're comparing it to other people, which is actually limiting what actually desires to be created. A lot of the times when we're creating something and it doesn't turn out, quote unquote, the way that we expected, we believe that that's the end of that creation. But there's always an energy that stays with that creation that can be contributing to something that we're creating in a different space, in a different place in our lives, and that can be generating more for that creation. I actually ask my different creations to contribute to each other. And we're doing that. You're looking at your creation and it's like, okay, Mississippi Mud, what would you like to contribute to my life? What could you contribute to my life? And where would you like to contribute? And when we're asking all of the things to be contributing, it's like a contributory dance that begins to happen in our lives. And the playfulness of this and the possibilities of how the dance and the creations are going to come. I have no idea what anything is going to look like, but what I do know is it's so much is possible, and all these beautiful things begin to unfold when we're stepping into that without a decision or a conclusion of how it's supposed to, or the expectations, all of that. It's just so much fun to play, really get into the play like a child. Phenomenal. I cannot believe we're just about over.
I know. And we had 100 million more things to talk about. And you had, what you just said brought up 3 more tools. And then I thought about, that's exactly.
Okay, so Stephanie Richardson, if she will agree, is going to be coming back to play with us again.
I would love to.
That would be fantastic. Okay, so if you would like to get in touch with Stephanie and see what she's creating in the world, you can do so at StephanieRichardson.com. You can also connect with her at thegoodgirlsguidetobeingwrong.com. You can connect with her on Facebook at The Good Girl's Guide to Being Wrong. She also has Beyond the Creativity Trap on Facebook. And Stephanie at your email photo@gmail.com and Stephanie at StephanieRichardson.com. So is there any place you are not, Stephanie?
If there is, I wonder what else would be fun. I wonder what else I could add.
There you go. Well, you're not here on A to Zen. We would love to have you here with us regularly, but I'll just plant that seed and see where that flies.
I love it.
See, Carol's saying yes.
I love it.
If you would like to connect with me as well, you can connect with me at inspiredchoices.ca. I am creating classes. I am creating Foundation Level 1 Access Conscious classes. I'm also creating Right Body for You taster classes. And as well, I'm the producer on A2Zen.fm, and we bring together amazing shows. If this is something that you've thought about doing, about having your own radio show, please do email me at Christine@inspiredchoices.ca, and we would love to talk to you to see if you would like to be part of this crazy community that we have so much fun playing with. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for being here tonight. I so appreciate you in the world, and I can't wait to see you in Costa Rica. You're coming, right?
That'll be for the 7 day?
Yeah, no, for the facilitators.
Oh, I was just in Venice.
Oh, sugar, maybe something can be changed. What else is possible? Thank you, everyone, for being in the chat room. I so appreciate all of you playing with us and asking great questions. Have an amazing week. And remember, you can always make another choice. Bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.